Hey, this is Chris, and this is the Ask Trainer Chris podcast, and you're on episode number 3. Today we're talking about core training and how to keep it as balanced as possible. Okay, let's talk core training. Everybody knows you need a strong and healthy core, right? The problem is that many people are not really informed about what the core actually is. Now, technically, the core is all over your body. There's a core in your foot. It's the stabilizing muscles that keep it in the right position. Today, we're just going to make it a little bit easier, but realizing that the core is not just your six-pack. Your core is your hips, your shoulders, and everything in between. The front, the back, the sides, the whole shebang. So, how do you train your core? And, I guess, what is your core and how do you train it? So, what is your core? Kind of already defined it. So, it's your abs, your obliques, your back, your hips, your glutes, hip flexors, side of your hips, shoulders, and shoulder blades, that whole area, right? Your chest. And basically, your core is supposed to be balanced, right? So, I mentioned some muscles in the front of your body, some muscles in the back of your body, your sides, your obliques. We want to balance it. So, this is how we train it. It's a very simplified version of what we do at My Core Balance. Now, at My Core Balance, we're all about training whatever you are deficient in, meaning whatever muscle, whatever range of motion you're not that good at. We want to train that range of motion. And the reason is because if you train that, then you bring yourself up to balance. No sense in training what you're already good at and neglecting what you're not good at, because that creates more imbalance, right? It's a simple concept. So, we have simplified it even more and allowed you to create a kind of a system where you know how to train and stay balanced in your core. So again, this is one type of training though, right? The last podcast was on lifting weights. You can do cardio, you can do stretching. Core training is what we call the core 3x3. So imagine like a Microsoft Excel or a Google Sheets, like a spreadsheet, 3 columns by 3 rows, okay? In one of the side, either the top or the side, either one you want to do, we have our 3 main body parts. Remember, I just talked about this a minute ago. You have your hips, your shoulders, and your core, which is everything in between your hips and shoulders. Okay, 3 main body parts. And then on the other one, again, either the top or on the left, you have your 3 ranges of motion. 3 dimensions, 3D, right? 3D, we live in 3D. So every body part that I mentioned before, hips, shoulders, and core, can move in 3 dimensions or 3 ranges of motion. You can do front to back, you can do side to side, and you can do twisting or rotational movements. So if you have your grid here now, along one axis you have hips, shoulders, core, and along the other you have front to back, side to side twisting, then you can create a program that is balanced by just hitting all 9 of those boxes. Now, this is literally I just explained it. That's it. We're 3 minutes into the podcast and you're done. That's all it is. Obviously, you can get more advanced. There are certain tricks, and if let's say you have really tight hip flexors and you're in the hips front to back box, you don't necessarily have to do the hips front. You can do more hips back because you already have the hip flexor, the front, and you need to work more on the hip extensor, the back, the glute. So those are little tricks, but for right now, keep it simple. If this is your first time hearing about this, just make these 9 boxes and go step by step. That's it. So the Core 3x3 program as a warm-up and even as a workout is in our main program at mycorebalance.com. So, check that out, and you have access to all the other programs, the weightlifting, the cardio, everything. It's all included in there. So, and that's really it. This is a short podcast. That's really it. 3x3. Use this as your warm-up before weightlifting, before you play basketball, before you run, whatever it is. This is a phenomenal way to make sure that everything is warmed up, that you're balanced, and as you do it more and more, you're going to be able to tune into some of the subtleties. Again, it's very easy to first learn. The learning curve is very simple, and you can progress all the way up. I've been doing this 13 years, and I'm still learning about some nuances of how to make this a little bit more detailed and a little bit more effective for specific people. So enjoy, leave me your feedback, and if you have any specific health, fitness, goal setting, nutrition questions, let me know on the Anchor app. You can leave a message on the Anchor app, or you can email me, chris@mycorebalance.com.
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome. And hey, one more thing I wanted to say. My Core Balance is starting classes. So up until now, we've been doing just personal training for a long time, many moons. And we're going to start classes in January. So to get an interest list, we are collecting names and emails and everything. And we will notify you when we have more details. But mycorebalance.com/classes. Hope to see you there.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.